Welcome to GNV On The Move, a half-hour program showcasing the City of Gainesville's initiatives, programs, events, and people. I'm your host, Jennifer Smart. This is an exciting time for Gainesville as we strive to create a community that is equitable, sustainable, resilient, and a great place to live and experience. We are a city on the move. In this episode, we'll have a conversation with Gainesville's Chief Operating Officer, Andrew Persons. We discussed the city's launch of a new initiative to provide free plans for residents to build their own accessory dwelling units. We also touched on plans for constructing the streetery. We'll update you on what the city's doing in the areas of housing, pedestrian safety, gun violence, and homelessness. We'll also share a bit about downtown parking, which has been getting a lot of attention. But first, here is my conversation with Gainesville City Manager Cynthia W. We discussed the ongoing process of creating a budget for the next fiscal year, which begins October 1st. We also talked about economic development and building a healthy downtown. City Manager Cynthia W. arrived in Gainesville in November 2021 and immediately went to work steering our community through challenges related to the pandemic and city finances. She has an impressive background, serving as an assistant county manager in Miami-Dade, interim city manager for the City of Miami Gardens, and as a senior vice president at Florida International University. City Manager Curry, welcome to GNV On The Move.
Thank you. It's a pleasure being here.
I thought the most timely thing we could talk to you about right now is budget season and what that means for the city. You don't know, if you don't work for city government, that there actually is a season that is devoted to budget development.
Well, believe it or not, Jennifer, my earlier career days were spent in the budget office. Almost 8 years of my career. That's where I started after a management internship stint. But I spent 8 years in the budget office in Miami-Dade County, and it was quite an experience. And yes, there is a budget season, and it buzzes. Budget season is really year-round, as you well know. You manage your budget every day. But the season when you take that review of the revenues and you take a look at your projections and you take a look at what you're spending. Our departments are doing that monthly, but from January right up through August, we're actively preparing and developing a budget for a new fiscal year. And for the state of Florida, cities and counties' fiscal years are October 1 through September 30. And so we are now preparing the budget that will be effective October 1. That budget process starts out, obviously, with a budget manual providing direction to the departments about some things that are consistent across departments. And then, of course, working with their internal staffs, those departments, they are looking at trends and they're looking at escalations of contracts, needs for new personnel, and they are projecting that for a new fiscal year. And what I am doing, along with the budget office, is trying to make sure we are aware of all the ups and downs, the trends, and trying to figure out how to present a balanced budget to the commission. They obviously have that final review and approval of the budget, for the City of Gainesville, and it is quite a process. And for the last 3.5 years, it's really been a hectic process because, as you probably know, and I'm sure the public knows, we have reduced our revenue stream because of the GRU transfer as an independent agency, not under the City Commission's authority. And because of that, our revenues have gone down over 50% in terms of revenues from the general, from GRU. So that has been a process that has required us to, a year or so ago, request a slight tax increase, which the Commission approved. And that was coupled along with quite a few position cuts across the city. So that combination of slight tax increase and reductions in our expenditures helped the city to balance. But we've been dealing with that since. We continue to deal with revenue reductions, from GRU, unfortunately, because last year, there was a decision to reduce the general fund transfer over the next 10 years by $68 million, which meant an additional $6.8 million reduction on a $15 million line allocation that we thought would remain relatively constant with some growth, as had been anticipated in a formula that we had agreed upon with GRU. But unfortunately, there was a decision based on conversations around the debt at GRU to reduce it further. And so we had to deal with that revenue reduction last year. So this year, going into fiscal 26, we don't really know what to expect. However, we're hoping that the revenue that we currently have, which from GRU, which is $8.5 million minus a couple of items that they have identified that will also be reduced, and it actually has happened already, takes us to about a $7.1 million revenue stream from GRU. And it is, in some instances, folk believe that it is not an appropriate allocation of resources to the city, but they are a public entity and do get benefit from being a public entity and are still considered a part of the city. And it is not unlike other proprietary organizations and utilities around the state and around the country, that revenue stream is appropriate and comes to the city to help with, of course, operating expenditures across the general fund. And so the budget process is challenging. It continues to be challenging because, you know, no one likes tax increases, but the taxes are a big part of the revenue stream for any city. And because our tax base is also limited in that over 50% of the tax base that can be used to generate to generate revenue is not for profit. You know, we can't generate taxes from it, and so therefore we have to be judicious about the funds that we do raise and how they are allocated. And so this process brings into play the leadership of our directors and how they put their plan together to spend their monies. And so over the next 2.5, 3 months, we will be meeting with the City Commission, and they will be reviewing our recommendations and giving us input on exactly what they believe, because they are the leaders, you know, based on the constituencies that voted them in. And so that is who they're listening to. And based on their own good judgment, of course, they will give us the input that we need to continue to develop that budget and then present it to them again in September, where they will make final comments, edits, and they will approve that budget in September of 2025 for an effective date of October 1, 2025.
And does it become more complicated because you're analyzing and you look for patterns, but with the volatility, the unpredictability that we've had, does that make it a much more complicated process?
It does, because costs don't stay the same. And of course, you know, we have public safety needs. Everybody knows that. We have public safety needs. We've been constrained in the past, at least for the last 3 or 4 years that I've been here, and it's been 3.5 approximately. You know, where our police department, the salaries were not competitive with salaries around the region, and the recruitment was lagging. Last year, during the collective bargaining process for the police department, they were successful in managing a budget that would allow the city to provide a salary that is competitive for our police officers, around $60,000 beginning salaries. So those adjustments were made, which helped us out, but those adjustments have a recurring effect. It's not just a one-time. Those salaries continue to roll and it impacts the budget, right? And so it's difficult, as you say, trying to balance that out, because there are escalators on salaries, and there are collective bargaining agreements that require us to meet the terms of those agreements. And so we all know what's happening in the general economy and the impact that that has on goods and services. And so that will take effect as well. And so it's difficult, but it's doable, and it has to be done, because at the end of every year and the beginning of every fiscal year, budgets have to be balanced, and we move forward in that context. Otherwise, there are other problems, and we don't want those problems.
You've also looked at the economy of Gainesville generally, and you've prioritized economic development. This is something that the City Commission has made a priority as well, and told you, let's find ways to do this. And you've brought a lot of learning and experience and sort of expert knowledge from your work in Miami-Dade to push Gainesville into the next level.
So we did. The City Commission annually takes a look at the strategic plan and those priorities that are stated in there. And of course, economic development was not on our strategic planning placemat, as we call it, and the commission added it because it is important. Economic development at its best is a lot of different factors coming together to create jobs, to create housing, to create just an improved quality of life in general for a city or for a community. When all of that is working together, and the partners involved are working together, it creates a lucrative and thriving economic development environment. That is what we want to have some focus on in the city of Gainesville. So that economic development with a focus on job creation and just quality of life improvement is what our commissioners decided they wanted to place on our placemat for us to put some focus on. And so probably in the next 3 to 5 years, starting right now, we are going to place that focus on economic development in the city of Gainesville, and we are revving up all of our internal energy and efforts and pulling some in from the outside as well to help us to put together an economic development framework for the city of Gainesville, utilizing the resources that we are currently investing in the areas of housing, in the area of job creation, in the area of transportation, infrastructure development. All of that comes together. So we want to help our commission as staff to them. We want to help to make that framework very clear so that they can tell us exactly where they want that focus to be, with us, of course, bringing recommendations to them to chew on and figure out exactly how they want that to look.
And we're about out of time, but before we conclude, I did want to ask you, this economic development, it does seem to make you excited and energized. And
oh, absolutely.
What are your feelings about rolling it out in the coming years? Do you feel that it's going to make a big change for Gainesville, and what is it that you're so optimistic about?
Well, I'm optimistic about the opportunity for change because Gainesville should grow, but it should grow in a smart way, and it should grow in a way that the community also is brought in on how it grows and what it looks like. And so that's exciting to me because that's what a city is about, right? And so I'm excited about it. We need, I won't say new things, but we need to continue to grow in those areas where we know we have not done well. And again, our infrastructure, our fire stations, our parks are doing well because of wild spaces and public places. But there are facilities like 8th and Waldo, our MLK Center, the Citizens Field, the stadium, the pools there, the fields. They need help. They need to be improved. They're in very poor shape right now. And that is a quality of life issue in that area, in the East Gainesville area in general. But that particular one is exciting to me because I see it, it's palpable, it is about to kick off. And so I want to make sure that we are able to do that amongst many other things as a part of this whole economic development framework. So I'm excited.
It's exciting to hear about. Yeah, thank you so much, City Manager, for taking time to speak with us.
Thank you. Thank you very much.
After the break, we'll speak with Gainesville's Chief Operating Officer, Andrew Persons. We discussed a variety of new initiatives he's working on, including one designed to encourage the building of accessory dwelling units as a means of increasing our affordable housing stock. But first, here is an update on steps the City of Gainesville is taking to address issues facing communities across the country.
As part of the City of Gainesville's Vision Zero initiative to eliminate traffic deaths and serious injuries in the city by 2040, a portion of Northwest 8th Avenue will be repurposed. The stretch of 8th Avenue between 6th Street and Main Street will be repaved to include protected bike lanes, separated from traffic by objects known as rubber zippers. A new bike lane also will be added to the southbound lane of Northwest 6th Street between Northwest 7th and Northwest 8th Avenues. The project should be completed this summer. In advance of Gun Violence Prevention Month this June, the City of Gainesville will host a memorial event for survivors of gun violence on Saturday, May 31st at Squirrel Ridge Park between 9 and 11 a.m. Then join us Friday, June 6th for our Wear Orange event at the MLK Junior Multipurpose Center, beginning at 7:30. These and additional events to raise awareness about gun violence are free and open to the public, and more information can be found under the Events tab on the City homepage, www.gainesvillefl.gov. Among the City of Gainesville's many housing programs to help low-income and very low-income households is the Housing Rehabilitation Program. Qualified homeowners may be eligible for assistance up to $80,000 to address health and safety issues such as plumbing and electrical problems. The program also covers the installation of new roofs, windows, and more. Visit the Housing and Community Development Department webpage through the city's website, www.gainesvillefl.gov. The City of Gainesville believes stable, permanent housing ends homelessness and prevents individuals and families from becoming homeless in the first place. These reasons are why the city invests in long-term housing strategies, such as by offering free building plans to neighbors to build their own accessory dwelling units, or ADUs. Such housing options are designed to increase the supply of affordable and available housing in our community for all neighbors.
Are you ready for some music? Get ready to rock, roll, and groove every Friday night all summer and fall at the Bo Diddley Plaza in historic downtown Gainesville. Catch the best local music under the stars. Bring your lawn chairs, blankets, and kids to the Free Fridays concert series. The fun starts at 7 Friday nights, and again, it's free. For a full schedule, visit GainesvilleFL.gov/Bo Diddley Plaza.
Do you have concerns about trees around your home or in your area? Now's the time to report hazardous trees or request removal before hurricane season begins June 1st. Visit GainesvilleFL.gov/trees for more information. Are you looking to trim branches which can damage utility lines or your property? Work with a licensed and certified arborist. While the right trees may help protect your property during a hurricane, a poorly maintained tree may face a greater likelihood of breaking or falling during a storm. As we approach the start of hurricane season, be prepared, not scared.
As Chief Operating Officer for the City of Gainesville, Andrew Persons ensures that the city manager's directives are effectively carried out. Whether advancing affordable housing efforts, managing infrastructure projects, or addressing public transportation challenges, Persons works to align city operations with the broader goals established by city leadership. Andrew, welcome to GNV On The Move.
Thank you for having me.
I think I wanted to talk to you first about something that we have been discussing in the office for a long time, the accessory dwelling units and the free plans that are going to be made available to folks who want to build their own.
Yeah, thank you so much. Yeah, so we're very excited to be really launching this program in earnest. Just to step back a few years, in 2020, the City Commission actually changed the rules around ADUs, as we call them, which stand for accessory dwelling units, which are largely used they're called a couple different names, granny flats or mother-in-law suites, and they're essentially just a side unit that can be rented or used by family members to add additional housing on any given property. The City Commission actually changed the rules to allow more broadly accessory dwelling units in the city. And we've seen a slow increase in the number of accessory dwelling units being built over the last 5 years or so. Earlier in 2022, the city received some funding from the federal government. It's the Home American Rescue Plan funding, and that funding was largely earmarked to help housing-related impacts from the COVID pandemic. We had to develop a plan for how the city was going to use this money, and it was roughly about $1.6 million. In discussions with staff and with City Commission and the City Manager, we came up with a plan which was to build on 5 city lots that we had under the Housing and Community Development Department, which is our housing department at the city. And we were going to use that money to build new accessory dwelling units that we would then rent to populations. One of the conditions of the use of this federal funding is that the city has to retain ownership of the units, as well as we have to have those units rented to vulnerable populations. Those are populations such as people fleeing domestic violence, people facing the potential for homelessness, income qualified people. And so those would be the residents that will eventually occupy these units. The city had our plan submitted to HUD, to the Federal Agency for Housing. They approved that, and now we have funding that we're actually about to break ground on our very first lot, which will be a property at 738 Northwest 7th Street. What we're planning on doing is we're going to be renovating the existing house. There's a small existing house. We'll be renovating that and then adding an accessory attached ADU, which will be adding to the building and creating a new unit on the side of the house. And then we'll be building a detached accessory dwelling unit to the rear of the property. And that'll be done starting, I think we have a groundbreaking set for April 30th of this month, and we have a contractor ready to go. It'll be probably about a 6 to 9 month build project. And that'll be our very first lot that we'll be developing using this federal funding. There's some other aspects of the funding that are also very exciting in the project in general. One of the unique aspects of the project is that we've done this all in-house, meaning that the city has not gone out and hired consultants or outside help to actually draw these plans or to do the actual construction. We actually have some architects at work at the city who are able to come together in one of our departments, sustainable development, and work with our housing folks to actually design these plans for these specific lots. One of the offshoots of that is actually been the development of several prototype plans that the city will make available to the public on a complimentary basis. The first set of plans is a small detached two-bedroom unit, roughly about 850 square feet, that a neighbor could come in, request from the city. We'll provide those prototype plans. They can hand them to their contractor and have all of the design basically done. So it would be essentially a permit-ready set of plans that anyone who's interested in building an accessory dwelling unit in their backyard can pick up from the city. We have a second set of plans that were just finished and will also be made available to the public. And those are a stacked or a two-story unit. So there'll be a base unit, and then on the second floor, there'll be an accessory unit. So we'll have two plans available right around the time where we do the groundbreaking on April 30th.
So this is very cool. I like this part of it, that the plans are free, people can access them, and then they kind of get expedited through the system so that you get to build what you want to build a little bit faster, more easily.
That's exactly right, yeah. One of the other exciting parts is that we'll be continuing to develop new prototype plans as we build through these 5 lots I mentioned. We actually have a set of plans for the second lot that have already been completed. They're out for bid right now, so we're hoping to attract some local contractors to actually help us do the construction. And then we'll moving on to the 3rd, 4th, and 5th lots, and we'll be developing these prototype plans as we develop these lots, which is also very exciting. One aspect of the project I also wanted to mention, we also have set aside a portion of that $1.6 million funding that will be used to homeowners who might be interested in building an accessory dwelling unit and helping out the city's affordable housing efforts by agreeing to house some of those vulnerable populations for a period of time. In exchange for this agreement, the city can actually provide some construction funding up front that could be used to offset the cost of building these homes. So you'd be able to help the city's affordable housing efforts and be able to build some additional housing in your backyard. So we're very excited. It's a very innovative program. We've spoken to a lot of state organizations that do housing, statewide. So there's a lot of interest in this from a policy perspective and showing how you can bring multiple areas of a city together, leverage federal funding, and really create something very innovative and very exciting for the city.
And available on the website. So if anybody's interested, they can go to the Department of Sustainable Development on the city website and look in the building section, and these plans would be there.
That's exactly right.
I wanted to touch on this too before you go, the streetery. People are excited about plans for the streetery. We only have like another minute or so, but tell me a little bit about that.
Sure. So we are very excited to be moving forward with the streetery. This is the segment between Main Street and the city's parking garage on Southwest 2nd Avenue. The city has been talking about the streetery for a long time. This is a closed pedestrian street. We recently came to the City Commission back in February, had them approve moving forward with final design. So we have amenities such as enhanced lighting, landscaping, new power receptacles to support farmers markets and other types of events, and fixing all of the ADA accessibility and drainage issues that are currently there, and really creating a brand new pedestrian environment that will be a real asset to downtown, both once it's complete and then long term. So we're very excited about that. We just recently wrapped up a naming contest. I think we received about 1,500 different names for the streetery.
And not all of them jokes.
And not all of them jokes, that's right,
Yeah.
that's right. So we'll be working through that and bringing that back to City Commission later in July with both some design ideas for seating, the naming, and a few other aspects.
Excellent. Thank you so much for being here, Andrew. We appreciate it.
Thank you for having me.
We hope you've enjoyed this glimpse of the many exciting projects going on in Gainesville. We leave you now with a look at the recent parking changes in our downtown area, which make it safer and more convenient to reach your destination. Join us again next month as we take another look at GNV On The Move.
Planning a visit to downtown Gainesville? Whether you're heading to a restaurant, browsing unique shops, catching an exciting show, or enjoying the many other attractions our downtown has to offer, finding convenient parking is easier than you might think. Let's talk about your parking options. You'll find parking conveniently located throughout the area at metered spots, in the Southwest parking garage, or in several free city lots. Prices can vary based on the location you choose. Paying for your parking has never been easier with a variety of methods at your fingertips. You can use one of 6 convenient pay stations, which accept both coins and credit cards. For ultimate convenience, download the Passport Parking app on your smartphone. It's a quick and easy way to pay and even manage your time remotely. You can also pay online or call 352-290-3700 if you prefer to pay by phone. Coin meters are also available in some locations. It's important to keep a few parking regulations in mind. Parking enforcement is in effect Monday through Friday from 10 a.m. to 8 p.m. But here's some good news for your weekend plans. You can enjoy free parking all weekend with the exception of the Southwest parking garage. Want to plan ahead? Use our interactive parking map to find the best spot before you go. To access the map, find up-to-date parking rates, and stay informed about the latest improvements to the downtown parking experience, please visit gainesvillefl.gov/parking. We look forward to seeing you downtown.